Well, welcome to Practical Talk Time. I'm Sandy Robel, your host for today's show, with our intuitive empath, who is Barbara DeLong, and she has done the comic deck of initiation. She was scheduled to be here on Halloween, and because of a snowstorm, we had to cancel, and this was our first chance to get her back, and she was very happy to oblige us and be back. She's a very multi-faceted lady, many different talents, and tonight we're really going to be focusing in on her cosmic deck. She'll be doing a little brief introduction on how they came into being, and then most importantly, we'll be taking your phone calls for you to call in and get a mini reading. And if the number is busy, keep calling, because we only have one line coming in. If it's busy, keep redialing. If it is ringing, then just wait for it to be picked up. Welcome to the show. Very nice to have you here, Barbara DeLong.
Thank you. It's lovely to be here.
Yes. And instead of asking you many questions, I thought it might be good just to turn it over to you, have you speak about the cards that you've made, and tell how you came about making them, where they have gone, and so forth. And so you can just talk about it, and then we can get on to our callers.
Fine. The deck of cards originally wasn't a deck of cards. It came about because I had been doing psychic fairs and psychic readings, and I'd been doing psychic art. And that was messy. And so I went from there to doing gem casting, which is a pouch of gemstones that people get to scatter on the table, and they're read by the scatter of the gemstones. And that was a lot of fun, but a lot of people didn't understand that it was an intuitive reading. So I was in a class for spiritual development at the Albertson Memorial Church in Old Greenwich, and one of our assignments was to do a mandala for a classmate. And mandalas are circular representations of a person's soul energy, and it sounded like a lot of fun, and so I did it for a class member, and then everybody else wanted one with a reading that went with it, and that just snowballed to the point that about a decade later I had done 500 of them, and they're all over the world. And as a matter of fact, I had a client from Great Britain who was in Kuala Lumpur studying with a Tibetan monk, and he was talking to the monk about a spiritual lady he knew in the States who did paintings, and the monk said, "Would that be Barbara DeLong? I've seen her mandalas." and he wrote me and he said, you know, does the sun never set on your empire? But after I started doing the mandalas, I realized that tarot cards for me personally had I had an uneasy feeling about them because of the representations that some of the decks had. And these came out in 91, 92. So prior to that, you basically had your Aquarian deck, and you had the Rider-Waite deck, which are nice decks, and a good, skilled tarot card reader can give you an extraordinarily spiritual reading from them. But some of the pictures were entirely upsetting.
Yes.
And then if a card fell upside down, it was the reversal, and then, oh my gosh, you know, the sky is falling. Yeah. So I said to my friends that I could probably put together a deck that would be a light energy deck, that wouldn't scare anybody, that would have a good mellow feeling to it, so people would relax around it and say, oh, look at the pretty colors. And some of my friends who did standard tarot said, go ahead, I dare you, which is not a good thing to do to me, because I took sure. And I have to say that the thing about the deck is I have no art training. I've never had any art training, ever. And so to design a deck of cards didn't seem that big a deal after 500 mandalas. So it took me 6 months from the beginning to the signing with a publisher, and I actually hadn't developed them to sell them or to have them published. I developed them to prove that you could have a deck of cards that gave you spiritual readings that weren't scary.
Right, and you said to this day you do not sell them.
No, I don't personally sell them at all. The publisher does, but I've not gotten a royalty ever from them.
It was a gift of love to the universe.
It was. Well, it was a joke, actually. And so I had a friend who had a restaurant in Stamford, and she called me up and said, could you bring your deck down? I want to show it to somebody. And I did, for a free dinner. And I showed it to this lady, and she said, can I take these and show them to my boss? And that was the president of Stuart Kaplan. He publishes almost all of the tarot cards to that point in time.
Okay, and we'd like to have people know that are in our audience and that they can be calling in. The number for your mini reading is called 792-4101. I almost gave you my home phone number. That will not work. The number to call is 203-792-4101.
Why don't I show you what it looks like when somebody gets a reading, because it is a lot of fun, and I understand that you are into astrology.
Yes, and I also had taken classes with Dorothy Smith, the late Dorothy Smith.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
We had discussed, we weren't in the same classes. But
no, I studied with Mel.
With Mel, I never went, he didn't do classes when I was there.
I need you to cut the cards, and I promise to keep it clean. Some people get really upset when they go for a reading. They think that, oh my gosh, everything bad is going to come out. But what I've done is, and I got to develop my own way of putting the cards out and reading them. So when I tell people this is my deck, it really is my deck.
And the colors are beautiful.
So what this layout gives you is the 12 months of the year, the 12 astrological houses, and everything in between. And the central card actually focuses you on what aspect of energy is going to be around you for the next year. And this has to do with seeking the truth and finding the truth in everything that you do. Being intently aware of what is honest and what is not, and accordingly adjusting your life to it. And if you go to the first house, which is the house of self, this is paying attention to the things that are going on in your life. And the two houses actually that people most want to know about is career, and that would be the 11th house. 10th house. 10th, 11, 12, yes. And the 7th house would be the house of relationships, so that it gives you information, it gives you insight, and it helps you to understand. The deck was designed as a teaching tool for people to use for their own awareness and enlightenment, as opposed to a deck that is going to, tell you when you're going to win the lottery or stuff like that. There's no death card. There's no trauma card. There's no flaming tower, hanging man upside down. I think the most traumatic card in the whole deck is the pregnancy card. And for most people, it's like an, oh my God, don't say pregnancy, but that's sometimes...
I doubt if that would come up for me.
But it might. It might if you had a project that you were working on.
Oh, real? Okay. Something being born and created.
Birthing a creative aspect of yourself. I found that with my the radio show, I use these cards, and I throw something like this, very similar to this, on everybody that calls in for a reading. It allows me to, while a spiritual empath or an intuitive or a psychic, whatever term you want to use, reads people, they don't really need the tool. But with me, this keeps me focused on the different aspects, instead of suddenly deciding to tell them about a past life they'd had as a belly dancer in Bangladesh. And that does happen. But past lives come out here too. It creates a portal for spiritual communication. And so it's a wonderful tool. I have had such a delightful time with it. It's given me over 20 years of opening doors that I never expected to be opened. And so it's taken me on quite a ride. I actually do gem casting. That's where my real love lays, and yet here I am, a card reader still.
Oh, but do you still do gem readings?
Oh yeah, yeah. The problem is that it's a gem pouch of rubies, emeralds, diamonds, amethysts, and all of that. And when people see the bag and they take a handful and throw them on the table, then they want to see what would make a nice ring, or, you know. And I run into trouble with leave the stones alone, let me read them first. But you know, any psychic can read anything. It doesn't have to be just a deck of cards. So I think the weirdest thing I've ever read was a crumpled up napkin after dinner. And you can read that. It's just a tool, it's a way of focus, and it's a way of getting into somebody's energy.
Very interesting.
Oh, I had somebody said to me at dinner one night, you know, you can read anything, and I said, you know, just about. And they shoved their plate that had food on it that was left over and scattered, and I read that.
Instead of tea reading, you did a food reading.
I did a leftover reading, yeah. And it was really kind of interesting because it did, according to the colors of what was on the plate, it kind of indicated that the person was possibly avoiding things that were of a healing nature. And you know, you can read anything. It's really kind of fun.
Okay, so what else? And we want our audience out there. You don't have to worry about having this finished. You know, feel free to call in right away. 203-792-4101. Okay, we'll just talk about this till we get a call.
I would be happy to. It's a lot of fun, actually. And I think what is so much fun about this deck, as opposed to any of your other standard decks, is that anybody can read it and anybody can get something from it. It's not set up with the 4 suits. It's not set up with the higher and lower arcana. It's totally different from standard tarot. And yet, because they're a card deck, they are considered tarot, because tarot means cards. And the deck itself was designed, the first 11 cards had to do with the body energies, the chakras. I renamed the chakras because Sanskrit's too hard for people to say. Like the first chakra I call the foundation chakra.
Okay, we're going to pause for a moment.
Okay.
Hello, would you like to speak with Barb DeLong?
Yes, I would. This is Marianne. I would definitely like to be able to take advantage of a mini reading by Barbara.
Okay. All right, go ahead, Barbara.
Okay, Marianne, is there any particular area you want me to look into?
Can you look at career?
Sure, I'd be happy to. It seems to me, and this is the house of career, it seems to me that you're going through a phoenix rising energy, so that means that there's a lot of change in your life, and there may well be shifts and changes career-wise too. Are you planning on changing jobs? Because that would be a good idea.
Well, I sort of have chosen a new career within the last few years, but I was somewhat hoping to maybe extend it or expand upon it. It's, as any new venture, it's off to a slow start. Would there be anything that speaks to an extension or expansion of this new career that I've chosen?
I don't think it's broad enough for you. It feels like it's not going to hold your interest for a great deal of time. It feels as though you need to stretch yourself. It feels as though there's a lot of intellectual stuff going on around you. And I get the strong feeling that back to school is here for you on some level. Maybe not full term, you know, for your course, but there's a need to expand yourself intellectually, because what you're doing has, it doesn't have the challenge for you that you really need.
It's interesting that you're saying that, Barbara, because I'm always looking at different programs that would enhance the nature of the career path, and always debating whether or not I want to make that investment. But I do believe that life's about lifelong learning, so it's an interesting comment that you're bringing forth. Appreciate that.
It feels as though this is a great step, but it's just a short step, and it's going to switch you into a higher need to expand yourself even further. I think that there's not the professional aspect to it that you need, because you need a challenge, and this isn't giving you a challenge. It's just putting you through a routine.
Okay. All right. I love the perspective, and I appreciate it. Thank you so much for my mini reading.
You're so welcome.
Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Oh, that was very good. And other people may call in. Now, when you were doing that, were you actually reading all the cards as well?
Well, she asked for primarily career. So I looked at the house of career, but I looked at the other aspects as well, and it did feel as though there was a need for an intellectual challenge here that wasn't there.
And she certainly seemed to be agreeing with that as well. I thought we had another, yes, we have another call. Hello, would you like to have a mini reading with Barbara DeLong?
Hi, Barbara.
Hi.
Yes, I would like a mini reading.
Can I have your first name?
It's Don.
Don. Hi. Is there any particular area you want me to look at?
No, anything you want to look at is fine.
Okay. Well, turning me loose then. Actually, when I do my radio show, when somebody says that, it means that I can just let it rip, which is a lot more fun. It feels as though what you've got going on here is you're putting pieces of a puzzle together. It looks like you're looking to make things fit within your life, and sometimes they're just not all the time fitting, and it seems as though it's really important for you to understand that sometimes patience is called for, and that doesn't seem to be your longest, strongest suit. But there's the element here of creativity. There's a great deal of creativity here, and it feels as though you're not expanding it enough. You're not allowing it to take place within your life as much as would be a good idea. Spiritual energy fuels our lives, moves them forward. Spirituality manifests in our lives through creative channels, and you create those creative channels by doing creative things for fun, not profit. Yeah, it feels like you do a lot of creative stuff, but you get paid for it, so that doesn't count on a spiritual level. You've been doing a lot of analyzing, it feels, kind of like reviewing things, taking stock, and it feels like you're being pretty hard on yourself. I'd ease up a little bit because I don't think anybody's going to be as hard as you are on yourself. And as you come into the springtime, that would be the May-June time frame. Here's where spiritual energy flows a lot more strongly in your life. There's abundance coming in on more levels than you anticipate, and it opens you up to a sense of new directions you can take your life. You're very serious about a lot of things in your life, and I kind of want to tell you to lighten up, because enlightenment means to lighten up, and you're so serious about things, you're holding everything to an intellectual level and not allowing your spirit to really do the dance of creation and the joy. And by the time you get to August, there's a new foundation in your life, you're moving in new directions, and it feels as though this has a greater flow of energy. Also, the aspect of music is important to you, so please make sure that's incorporated into your life, because there's music all around you. You don't sing though, do you?
Sometimes.
In the car?
No, I write, sing. I just don't do a lot of it.
Okay. I would say that's an element, a form, a direction you might want to take. Do you also write, because there's poetry of spirit here?
Yeah.
Okay. Writing's great. A lot of intellectual stuff going on as you get into the winter, fall time. Stop thinking, don't think so much, just enjoy life and celebrate it, and that's where your great abundance is going to come from. Okay?
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Very interesting.
A lot of fun.
Yes.
I find that every time I read, I learn something. And I think every reader is like that, or should be. I find that people ask me questions that trigger answers that I have inside that I possibly haven't thought about. And when somebody comes for a reading or gets a reading from me, I always pay very close attention to what I say, because it's also important for me to hear whatever it is they are triggering in me. So it's a give and a take. We teach each other, and it's a wonderful experience. I have been so blessed that I think my husband and I figured out that I've read probably close to 500,000 people at this point in time in my career.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is unbelievable.
Well, I do fairs, and have done fairs for a very, very long time. I do the radio show every week, so I get callers there, and I have found that doing the radio shows for free and doing things like this for free, it's my way of giving back. So that, you know, I have an amazing gift, but it's no good unless I can give it away and learn from it.
Right.
So I get opportunities like this and I jump at them.
Yes, yes. Now, when you were into this also when you were still teaching?
I was. When I was very young, in my 20s, I was into this, and at that particular point in time, if anybody knew I was doing this, I would have lost my job.
Oh, really?
Oh, I started teaching in Michigan, and when I started teaching, it was the 60s.
I started in 67. We have another call.
Okay.
Hello. Would you like to have a mini reading with Barbara DeLong?
Yes.
Can I have your name, please?
Yes, Rosemary.
Hi, Rosemary. What would you like me to focus on?
My family. I have a large family. And
Do you have a grandmother in spirit?
yes.
Your mother's mother?
Yes.
She's around you a lot. How long ago did she pass? Hello? Did we lose her?
I don't know.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
She was waiting for a reply. Okay.
Okay, yeah. How long ago did she pass?
More than 50 years ago.
She's around you a lot. You were very special to her, and you know, I don't necessarily, you didn't know her that well, right?
That is correct, yes. She's a very young child.
She's around you because of the changes that you're going through. Are you named for her? Because there's a connection here.
Partly.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. She's saying that you're going through a difficult time, that you're having to make choices, and it's hard for you to make choices because you're taking everybody's feelings and thoughts and into consideration, and you're not taking yourself into consideration. And she wants you to know that it's time you took care of yourself and let some of the other stuff in your life go, because you're putting so much on your shoulders, your neck, on your back, that your neck and shoulders are hurting you. Have they been lately?
Yes.
So it's a matter of letting go of some of those things that you've been carrying that you don't need to, because frankly nobody asked you to, and start focusing on yourself and the fact that you have a very long life ahead of you. Are you worried about your mortality? Because she's saying that every now and then you worry that you're not going to have time to do everything you're supposed to do, and she wants you to know that you have a very long time here left. So pace yourself a little bit.
That's good to know.
Pace yourself, pace yourself. Your family feels, is your mother going through some difficulties at this moment in time?
Not that I know of.
Okay, because she's saying here that she's focused, she's been looking at visiting your mother, and that your mother is kind of going through a, what would I call it? She's decluttering her life. She's trying to get rid of stuff that she doesn't want and need anymore, and she's having trouble letting go of a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that could be.
And the other thing that she's saying here, is there a dog in spirit? Do you have a dog in spirit?
Yes, I do.
Amazing dog. How long ago did the dog go?
About a year ago.
Have you been, the dog is around you a lot. Have you been tripping over nothing?
Yeah, yes, he is around a lot. You know, I do sense him a lot.
Oh, and you don't have to clean up
I
hair.
sense him a lot.
Yeah, no, he's definitely here. He jumps on your bed every now and then, too.
He wasn't allowed to before, but that could be.
It's when animals do that, it feels like something has jumped on the bed and you look and there's nothing there. And I keep seeing a tail flopping.
Oh, yes, yes. Definitely.
Definitely you've got the dog with you. I know that's not what you called up for, but that's what seems to be coming out of the cards.
It's interesting, though. Yeah.
I want to tell you to celebrate. I want to tell you to lighten up. I want to tell you to understand that this world is going to keep turning even if you stop pedaling. So relax and enjoy the day by day, and don't worry so much about the future. It happens anyhow.
Thank you very much. I'm sure that will help.
Okay. Take care now.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. That's interesting what you said about the dog, because I've had cats many times, and the last two that I had have passed away. And what you're saying about feeling them jump on the bed.
They do.
Yes, and they were always allowed. I'd wind up between pillows. They got.
I'm a pretzel at night. I have 8 cats at home.
Oh.
Yes, I'm a certified cat lady.
And it is true that I could feel them.
Oh yeah, they really.
Oh, we have another caller.
Okay.
Hello. Hello.
Hi. Is this the public access call-in number for the reading?
Yes, it is. Would you like Barbara DeLong to give you a mini reading?
I would.
Okay.
Can I have your name?
Sandy, this is Alicia.
Oh, hi, Alicia. She's been a guest on our show.
Oh.
I don't want to say more than that because.
Thank you.
Okay.
I just got your email and I just read it and I said, well, this sounds like fun. I'm going to call in because I can't actually get 23
Right,
here.
you have to be in Danbury, Richfield, or Bethel.
Ah. Okay.
So how are you ladies tonight?
Doing well.
Good.
Absolutely doing well.
Wish you could see her cards.
I do too.
Well, they're on my website if you want to check my website out. So
Absolutely. What is it?
it's barbaradelong.com.
Okay. And Sandy, was that in the email that you sent me?
Yes, it is.
Great.
Sorry it went out so late, but I thought better late than never.
Great.
You've got a lot of spiritual energy here. Do you do spiritual work?
Well, I think there's definitely a piece of it in what I do, for sure.
Absolutely. There's a tremendous amount of spiritual energy, and your life seems to be one that is guided by spirit. You trust your gut. You go with what feels right as opposed to what's intellectually appropriate. And that makes you a free spirit and quite strange, but good strange.
Good description.
Good strange, a free spirit, definitely. There's a lot of, it feels as though there's been a lot of serious thought going on here, and I really want to caution you on thinking too much because it does make trouble for you. Mm-hmm. You sometimes analyze something to the point that you forget what it was you were doing in the first place.
That's spot on.
Okay. Stop thinking. Stop thinking. I would say this is a blessed lifetime for you. Things always will fall into place for you. I'm not saying you won't have to work for what you want, because you will, but if you allow things to, if you go with the flow, oh, that's interesting. You sometimes get a direction set and you sort of take the bit in your mouth, and even though the flow is going in another direction, you try to make yourself go and do what you thought in the first place, in spite of the fact that you know it's not the right thing to do. When you change your mind, it's okay. And if you want to change horses in the middle of the stream, you're one of the few persons that can actually do it. So I would really kick back on the thinking and go more towards the going with the flow, because you certainly have, again, it's a blessed lifetime. You're cosmically ordained to do some things. You have a purpose here, and it's kind of interesting. You know there's a purpose to your life, you just don't know what it is. You're driven and you don't know where you're going. But
Great description.
But that's the important thing, because if you knew where you were going, there would be no point to the trip.
I like that.
So stop worrying about what your purpose is, because frankly, you've achieved most of it anyhow, and the rest of it is just frosting on the cake.
Wow.
So have a good time.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
You're
I'm working on it.
Okay.
Okay, thank you for calling in, Alicia.
Oh, thanks a lot, Sandy. I'll talk to you soon. And thank you for the reading. I'm going to check out your website.
Thank you. Bye-bye now.
Great.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Oh, that was interesting. I didn't send out the emails till like 5 o'clock tonight before I was coming here.
Oh.
Hello?
Hi, I was wondering if I could get a reading.
Oh, absolutely. Barb DeLong is right here for that.
Hi, can I have your name?
Maria,
Maria, how can I help?
I just was wondering if you could just give me a reading.
Oh, sure. That's that's easy. Okay. You have a lot of creativity going on around you. This is a lot of throat stuff, a lot of communication. And communication is really important to you at this point in time in your life here. And it feels as though you've been hanging back and not actually fully communicating with a lot of people around you. It's important that you let people know how you feel. And if somebody asks you your opinion, to actually give it. In the past, you have been so nice that some people have not understood the fact that you've been trying to tell them something that actually wasn't nice. So cut back a little on the sugar and let people know exactly how you feel, because it feels as though there are doors opening for you, there are new directions coming for you, there's certainly a new foundation from which you're working, and it does feel as though work is an area of focus for you. Are you very focused on your job?
Yes. And I'm going for my master's in my job, too. So I'm pursuing education with it.
Well, you don't need to go beyond the master's.
Okay.
And actually, the master's is only a piece of paper. You already have all the wisdom you need. You know, you seem to be relying on books to give you stuff that you already know. That's kind of, what do you study? What are you going for?
Well, I have to get the master's. I'm in education.
Okay. Yeah, I know you have to get it. Yeah. But it does feel to me as though you really would be studying, and you'd like to be studying in another direction. It doesn't feel like education is really where your passion lies.
Really?
I'm seeing a lot of antiquity here. I'm seeing a lot of history. I'm seeing a lot of stuff from the past. It could be past lives that I'm seeing, though. But I think you have an interest in history.
Oh, I loved history growing up, yes.
I mean,
I like the geography and the history of what I teach, so, yeah.
Okay.
That makes sense, then.
In the best of all possible worlds, I think you'd be on an archaeological dig.
I love stuff like that, yeah.
Do you actually teach history and geography and stuff like that?
I teach world languages.
Okay. Yeah, you're better in history and geography, actually, and ancient religions. If you haven't studied them yet, I think you're going to start, and you're going to find them fascinating. I think that in many ways you're an anachronism. Are you familiar with the word?
I believe almost like an enigma.
Somebody born in the wrong time.
Oh, yeah.
You belong back a couple hundred years. That's where you'd be most comfortable. But I would put you in an academic setting in that case. I think that what you've got going here is fascinating, but I don't think you've actually discovered your passions yet. You've found interests and things that make you comfortable, but you haven't discovered your passions yet, and I don't think you've been looking for them. So I would really suggest that you start identifying what you're passionate about. And on top of that, a vision board would be a good idea for you, because you have trouble focusing sometimes, and a vision board would help you to actually focus on the goals that you want to achieve and the directions you want to go this lifetime.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah, great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much. And your website again?
It's very hard. It's barbaradelong.com.
Oh, barbaradelong.com. How easy.
Yeah, you can't get any easier.
Yeah, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay, thanks.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you for calling.
Bye.
Oh, that was very interesting in what you were saying, and it came out that that's what she actually is involved in teaching.
Yeah, it happens that way, and you know, I wish I knew how to.
Okay, we have another caller.
Okay.
Hello, would you like to speak with Barbara DeLong for a mini reading?
Yes.
Can I have your name?
Luz.
Luz, is there any particular area you want me to look at?
No.
Just anything?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I think the most profound thing I can say to you is that there's a new opening coming for you as you come into the end of February, and it feels here as though you're going to be shifting and changing. There's a lot of shifting and changing going on in your life, and new people coming in. It's almost like as you get into the summertime, it's a reunion time. And I don't think it's an actual class reunion or anything like that, but I think you're going to find people from the past coming back into your life. You're going to find that answers are going to come to questions that that you've put aside and that you're not asking anymore because you figure the answers aren't coming. I think that there's a deep spiritual feeling around you, and it feels like you've got a spirit around you, and it's a male spirit. Is your father in spirit?
Yes.
He's around you quite a bit here, and he feels it. He feels. Were you able to say goodbye to him when he passed away?
Were you able to say goodbye to him when he passed away? Yes.
He's saying that he didn't say "I love you" enough, and he's saying that he's grateful for what you did for him, and that he wants you to understand how much he loves you and how much you mean to him, and that sometimes you question that, but it's definitely here, and it's here very strongly. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you for calling.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
God bless you.
Thank you, you too.
I think she had her TV. If you were watching the show on TV, please turn down your TV when you call. Otherwise, you're listening to it, and there's a little delay in what you're hearing at home.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could hear it in the background.
Yeah, it's kind of like listening to myself, and sometimes I get caught up on what I'm saying. I forget what I'm supposed to say next.
Right. Yeah, and I think that's why there was a little hesitancy.
Yeah.
When she was answering, she was listening to the TV, and yeah.
Yes.
It becomes distracting.
Well, if you don't do this all the time,
yes.
it's hard to know these things.
Mm-hmm.
I know on the radio show that I do, that happens often. We have to constantly tell people to turn down their computer because the feedback is just incredible. My radio show is on the computer.
Uh-huh.
And we have people calling in from all over the world, and they want readings, and when you're hearing yourself coming back over the telephone, it does get very confusing.
Yes, yeah.
Kind of want to, when someone else when you start talking and someone else does, you stop to let them finish. I find I do that if I hear myself on the other end of the phone coming back at me. I stop so that I can finish saying what I should be saying, and then there's dead air.
Yes, yes. and I also didn't want to interrupt and say, turn down your TV, because I didn't want to block what you were saying to her.
Well, the nice thing about doing what I do is it doesn't, if somebody has to sneeze or go to the bathroom or whatever, you can pick it back up. It's not that there's a flow that is stopped forever.
Mm-hmm. And again, I want to remind everyone, you can call in 203-792-4101 for a mini reading with Barbara DeLong. And you're multifaceted, and I know there's many other areas you can talk about besides your cards, and we'd love to have you back at another time, too, where there could be a program that might not be a call-in, but you have many things you can talk about.
Oh, I would love to do that. One of the things that is near and dear to my heart are the stone walls and the chambers and the stone chambers that are here in New England, and I wrote and narrated a documentary on them, and it's amazing because they can't be carbon dated, and the colonists did not make them.
Ooh.
And it's sort of like, who did?
I think years ago there was an article in the Jamboree paper about a history teacher that talked about it and had visited them or whatever.
Yeah.
It seems like that caller that is a teacher of history and geography and languages, whatever, seems like something she would be interested in.
Oh, I would think so.
Where you said she should have been born 200 years earlier. I always feel I want to go to the future and find out what new things will be created.
Yeah, but there was such an elegance in some of the clothing back a couple of centuries ago, too.
Okay, we have another caller.
Okay.
Hello, would you like to have a mini reading with Barbara DeLong?
I'd love to.
Okay.
Can I have your name, please?
My name is Marlene.
Marlene, how can I help?
I would just like you to give me a reading, see what you have to say.
Oh, okay. What's really fascinating here is that you have there are two of you there. It's not that you've got a split personality or anything like that. It's just that you show one side of yourself to everybody else, and then there's another private side of you that really doesn't get out that much. And I feel strongly that there is a blending of those two aspects and areas of you at this point in time. You are coming to a time where there's compensation coming your way for all the good things that you've done for other people and not gotten a reward for. And the really wonderful part about you is that you don't expect to get anything in return. And when you don't expect to get anything in return, that's when the universe turns around and says, you know, that person is due for a harvest. And I see for this next year, you're coming into that time of harvest, that time when you're just going to start to get good things coming your way that you didn't expect and you didn't actually even think you worked for. And the reality is that when you give unconditionally of yourself to other people, it sets something in motion that brings it back to you when you most need it. And it does feel as though you're at a time when having the validation of the good, wonderful things you've done, the kind, spiritual things that you've done, that you never asked for anything in return. And the universe is you're going to have lots of moments of those kindnesses that aren't expected. I think one of the major things that you're going to have to learn how to do, especially towards the summertime, you're going to have to learn how to receive with the same grace that you give. Receiving is hard for you. You're embarrassed. You don't know quite how to act. That's why you overgive in some areas. So it's sort of like it's time for you to understand that it's also a gift to allow people to give to you, because they get the same pleasure that you do when you give unconditionally. So in many ways, it's really important that you return the favor and you let people see that wonderful smile that you don't put out there as much as you should. You have a beautiful laugh, too. So there's a spirit here that's saying you should be laughing a lot more. It feels like your father. Is your father in spirit?
Yes.
He says you have the most beautiful laugh, and that you're not laughing enough. And
You see my daughter?
how old was she when she passed? She didn't pass. Is she in spirit?
Yes, she is.
How long ago did she pass?
Almost 10 years.
And she was in her 20s?
Yes.
Okay. You know, you've often wondered what she was doing on the other side, or if she was even on the other side, I guess. And she's telling you that she's dancing. She's telling you that she's walking barefoot, if that means anything to you. She doesn't seem to like to wear shoes. There's a grandmother here in spirit that tried to get her to wear shoes, and it just didn't work. She has the most beautiful voice. Did she sing?
She sang in the church choir.
Okay, she has a beautiful, beautiful voice. And she's working with children right now. She's working with young children who have passed over. And she loves children. She's just having such a wonderful time. And her laughter is amazing.
Wonderful.
But you've sensed her. She's telling me that she visits you and that you know she's there.
Well, I really didn't know if she was here or not.
She drops pennies in places that you don't expect them.
No kidding.
Yeah, no, seriously, they do that. That's one of the amazing things that I think it's one of the first things they learn how to do when they get on the other side. They drop pennies in places where they couldn't possibly be to let you know that they're okay. When my husband passed away, 2 weeks after he passed, I was changing the sheets on the bed, and I had all the sheets off with just the bottom sheet on, and I turned to get something, and when I went back, here was a penny right where he used to lay. So it was sort of like, I knew that had to be him because I wasn't that messy. I don't sleep with money. So, so she's dropping pennies for you, and she has been for a very long time. Are you finding pennies?
Well, you know, kind of all around the house, but I figured I'd just drop them around there.
No, you should have a box that you put them in.
I certainly will.
And the other thing is, have you been? I don't know how I can put this exactly. You've been talking to her a lot, right?
Yeah.
Okay, you're not praying to her, are you?
Praying to her, no.
Okay, because all she wants you to do is to just talk to her. She does hear you, and she usually drops pennies or feathers in your pathway within a day or so after you've talked to her and you've said something of a serious nature, because she does listen to you a lot. And there's a rocker she sits in. Do you have a rocking chair in the house?
Yes.
She sits in the rocker a lot.
Awesome.
Very awesome. And you know, from time to time, it seems to me that you've seen it rock and not know why.
No.
Pay attention. She rocks it.
No kidding.
No kidding.
That's fantastic.
Okay.
You're wonderful. Thank you. That's just wonderful. Can I ask you one other question?
Sure.
What about my son?
But he's here, right?
Yes, he is.
That's what I thought. He's having, how old is he?
He's 34.
He's having trouble finding his shadow.
His shadow?
Yeah. You familiar with Peter Pan?
Not really.
Somebody stole Peter Pan's shadow, and he was looking for his shadow. And Peter Pan never wanted to grow up. And part of it was because he didn't have a shadow. Your son's still looking for what really is going to inspire him and allow him to come out of his shell. I think he's doing fine. I think he's an amazingly lovely person. I think he's intelligent, but he's still finding that place where he can be passionate and he can really shine.
Yes, he is.
He will find it, probably another 4 years before he finds it, and then he's going to be incredibly successful.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah, it really is. I think he's going to be very happy, but you're worried about him for no reason. You don't worry about a son until they're 40.
Really?
Really.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you for calling.
Well, thank you so much.
Oh, my pleasure.
God bless you.
And you.
Bye-bye. Oh, that was very interesting. All the calls have been very interesting.
You learned from them, and it's really
Yes,
so cool.
We'll take this because we only have about 5 minutes left or
Okay.
so. Hello? Would you like a mini reading with Barbara DeLong? Hello?
Hello?
Would you like a mini reading with Barbara DeLong?
Yes.
Okay.
Can I have your name?
Marcos Torres?
Marcos. Is there some area you want me to focus on?
Yep.
That would be?
Yes.
What did you want me to look at?
Anything.
Okay. It looks here as though, have you recently gotten a raise? Marcus, do you speak English? We have
Oh, maybe someone else can.
Okay, so you're going to get a translation. I'm going to tell you what I'm seeing, and they can tell you what I'm telling. They can tell you what I'm telling you. There's money coming into you. It feels like there's a raise of some sort, and it feels as though you've been working very, very hard, and there's an opening for you, and it feels like there are 2 or 3 different openings, new jobs that you may want to apply for that may stretch you. As you get into the springtime, more towards the May-June timeframe, it feels like you're going to be very lucky. I don't normally tell people to play the lottery, but in the June timeframe, I would take chances. I wouldn't go to the casinos or anything, but you know, a lottery ticket now and then, whenever you feel like it, may bring extra money into you. It feels as though you're moving in new directions, and at some point in time, you're going to be owning your own business. You're going to be working for yourself, because that's where you'll really shine. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Bye-bye. Yeah, I thought that there was a language problem too. They were interpreting in the back. Yeah, that's interesting though, that they're watching the program even though there's that language barrier.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I think that I think he probably, I talk fast when I do this, and
Yes.
it's probably hard to sometimes grasp it all.
Right. Another call. Welcome to Practical Talk Time. Would you like a mini reading with Barbara DeLong?
Yes, I would, please.
Could I have your name?
Yes, Lynn.
Lynn, is there a particular area you want me to look into?
No, I've never had a reading done before. Someone just told me about it. So. My sister-in-law, Alicia, she just had one done.
Oh, okay. I would say that you're coming to a time in life where lots of changes are going on here. And it feels as though after the first of the year, getting into 2013 was very important to you. It feels like 2012 was not as great a year as you would have liked it to be. I think that this is going to be a year in which you do find a lot of new directions for yourself. It feels as though body, mind, spirit's coming together, and as we get into the March timeframe, there are. It feels as though places where there have been restraint for you, the restraint is no longer there, so that you're basically being given the go-ahead to really move forward a lot faster than you had anticipated. You had felt like you were sort of hitting your head against a brick wall, it feels. And it feels as though lots of times when we hit those brick walls, it means that that's not a direction we're supposed to go in. Lots of people continue to hit the wall thinking they can break through, but the reality is all they're going to do is get migraines. It feels as though you're finally understanding that when something doesn't happen the way you want it to, that it wasn't meant to do, it wasn't meant to be, and that if you allow things to unfold in front of you instead of trying to make things happen, life is going to be a lot more fun and certainly easier. There's no way we have the power to micromanage our own evolution, and that's where you are now. You're at a time and place where the universe is giving you gifts, is opening doors for you. And sometimes when a door opens, it's not the door you thought you wanted to go through, so you don't go through it. If a door opens, go through it, unless it's the men's room. And just sort of flow with what's happening, because this is a phenomenal time for you. And the pregnancy card is here in July, and that doesn't mean you're going to get pregnant, but it does mean that a project you've been working on inside your head is finally going to manifest, and you've been complaining that things aren't happening fast enough, and I would buckle up your seatbelt, because it's going to be a fast year for you, and it's going to be a very busy one. And you've been complaining that things aren't happening, and you've complained so much everything's going to happen, and that old thing, be sorry what you ask for because you'll get it, is definitely on the table here.
Okay.
Okay?
Sounds wonderful. Thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night. Oh, that was interesting too, and for our audience, I was off before. We just got the 5-minute notice. So if you want to call in before time runs out.
Yeah.
It goes by very quickly.
It goes by very quickly, and you always, and you know, you give mini readings, and you really want to sit and say, let's dig into this.
Yes.
And you
Gives
know,
them just a little taste, like when you get the samples out in the supermarket.
it's an appetizer. Yes. But it does, you know, the deck is, and my philosophy is a very spiritual one. It's not so much of being a psychic or a gypsy. It's a matter of, let me spiritually go over what's happening and explain to you why sometimes things happen. Yes. And it makes life, it doesn't stop things from happening, but you understand them better. And I know that when I feel myself held in place, there's a reason for it, and I have told the universe over and over again, I have enough patience, just let's get on with it. And as soon as it's out of my mouth, I realize if I really had enough patience, I wouldn't be telling them I had enough patience. They'd know it. So I learn from everybody I read. It's such
There's a reason for everything.
Absolutely. The people are drawn to me because I need to hear what they need to hear. And you know, there are times when it's quiet, and those are the times that I'm supposed to be quiet.
And I know a lot of times you'll hear people, they're trying to do very well in their business, and they're so focused on making money, it just eludes them. And so maybe sometimes if they would just let the energy flow, they'd be better off.
Well, and sometimes people are so focused on making money, they don't understand that they already have enough. And you know, you can only spend so much money. And you know, then you don't want to pay taxes on the rest. So have you ever thought about if you won the lottery and you paid off all your bills, of course, and then bought your fantasy stuff, the next thing you'd be doing is worrying about, how do I save it, how do I preserve it, and then it becomes a burden. It's not a gift.
it becomes a job to take care of. We have 3 minutes left. If anybody else wants to call in, please do so. 203-792-4101. And you can still call in if we have to run through the credits at the end and Barb's doing the reading. We could continue. You'll be able to hear us. They'll just shut off the mics that go over the air.
But this has been lots of fun. I thoroughly enjoy this.
Now, in that last reading that you did, I noticed you had a couple of cards that only had some type of drawing. They weren't colored, and at first I thought they were like blank cards.
There is one blank card in the deck, and that's the miracle card.
Welcome to Practical Talk Time. Would you like a mini reading with Barb DeLong? Hello?
You got a ghost.
Hello? Okay, well, I'm going to have to hang up because we lost the call or something happened.
Huh.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a guardian angel card. And it's not so much that the guardian angel cards depict a big spirit with wings and a halo. It's that you have spiritual energy around you at that particular point in time, whether it's guidance of family members or whether it's actual spiritual healers and things like that. And then there is this card that is blank totally, and that's the miracle card, because nobody can picture a miracle. I must have sat with that for 4 or 5 days trying to get a pattern for it, and then I realized it's a miracle. You can't picture it.
Welcome to Practical Talk Time. Would you like a mini reading? Hello? You need to turn down your TV, please.
I'm sorry, hold on. One second.
We have 1 minute left.
Okay, I turned it on.
Okay. How can I help tonight?
My mother just called. She told me to call there.
Okay, we're going to, just hold on, stay on the line. We're going to finish up with you, and ignore what we're saying. Stay on the line. Barbara DeLong, really pleased in having you. I think everyone calling in has really, really enjoyed the information. Seems very appropriate. Thank you for being here. We'll have you back on other things.
Thank you.
And thank our viewers for watching Practical Talk Time, and we will see you the next time. Take care.